So it seems as if like the Giannis rumors aren't actually rumors, it's a bit of reality. Yesterday, Shams dropped a mini bomb allowing the NBA world to know that over this offseason, Giannis sat down with the front office and had a discussion about his future. And in that dialogue, it came about that if Giannis were to be traded, there was a team that he was actually interested in being traded to. Now I'm gonna be honest with you, if that was the only thing that was in that article, then I wouldn't be making this video. But after having said conversation with Giannis about which team he would want to be traded to if he was no longer a Buck, they actually picked up the phone and called said team to figure out if they could get a trade done. Now for the people out there who are unaware, the team that piqued Giannis' interest a little bit were indeed the New York Knicks. And back in August, both Milwaukee and New York opened up trade dialogues with the two teams to figure out if there was indeed a path to get Giannis in the Big Apple. And as we clearly know now, because the NBA season is right around the corner and Giannis is still in Milwaukee, clearly New York wasn't able to put together a serious enough package to get Giannis, which makes a lot of sense because the Knicks really don't have much draft capital of substance to trade for someone like Giannis, as well as the players that they would package to get Giannis are on really hefty contracts, bro. That OG Anunoby deal, boy, oh boy, he making bank, and that makes sense for the Knicks, but no one else in the NBA. Cat is making around $60 million, and once everything kind of fell through between the two parties, they then decided to extend Mikal Bridges, which in my opinion makes things even more difficult because the amount of money that Mikal is now making, it don't make no sense to trade for him either. So if you are the Bucks in a post-Giannis era, you would want draft capital and cap flexibility, something that the Knicks cannot provide. So yes, the headliners read, Giannis in New York. The truth of the matter is, Giannis isn't really going to New York, so that's not the story. Instead, what the story is that Giannis and the Bucks have had very serious conversations and even entertained the idea of parting ways, which is monumental, not only because Giannis, in my opinion, is the greatest player in franchise history, multiple-time All-Star, DPOY, led them to a championship, their first since the 70s, dog. Crazy. But also, this is arguably the best player in the NBA. Losing a player of that status is unacceptable for most teams, but unfortunately, the Bucks really don't have a choice. Because not only does Giannis only have one more guaranteed year left on his contract after the season, and as long as Giannis is a Buck, he will continue to put pressure on that front office to build a championship caliber roster around him. But the unfortunate truth is, bro, the Bucks are nowhere near close to being that. And it makes it even worse that A, we're in the weakest East that we have seen since the early 2000s. No Boston, no Indiana. The Philadelphia team that everyone was anticipating for the last decade to compete at this stage in NBA history is still a massive question mark on them. And yet still, none of us feel confident that this Bucks team will be able to win more than 47 games this upcoming season and still won't get knocked out in the first round. But to make it even worse, bro, the Bucks don't even have the ability to make the roster better. Financially speaking, they are stuck for this season. They don't have that much flexibility, and the players that you would potentially trade, either Bobby Portis and Kyle Kuzma, not only do they still have another year on the books after this season, but they make a substantial amount of money, and no one really wants them. But two, and more importantly, in the process of trying to build these teams around Giannis over the past handful of seasons, bro, the Bucks have traded away, literally, and I do mean this literally, almost every draft pick from 2020 to 2030. It's actually ridiculous. They traded their 2020 first round pick to get Eric Bledsoe back in the day. They traded their 21 and 23 first round pick to get PJ Tucker. They traded another 2020 first round pick from Indiana, as well as a 24, 25, 26, and 27 first round pick to get Drew Holiday. And then they traded their 28, 29, and 2030 first round pick to get Damian Lillard. Literally, Milwaukee has traded away 11 first round picks, regardless if they're unprotected or pick swaps, all within like a 6-year window to try to build a team around Giannis. Congrats to them because it did translate to a championship, but 11 first rounders is a lot. And so now, because they were incompetent in properly preparing themselves to replace Chris Middleton and Brook Lopez, and the Damian Lillard experiment failed completely. So you don't have any draft picks, no young players, and the players that you would trade are on unfavorable contracts that that, in all honesty, no one really wants. The honest truth is that Milwaukee has finally come to the conclusion that they have hit a dead end. There's nothing else that they can do, and they know even in a very weak Eastern Conference, they cannot confidently claim that they can make it to the finals. And so now entertaining potential trade suitors makes sense, and I believe it's the smartest thing to do. But going to New York, just because that's where Giannis wants to go, in my opinion, is a bad route to go in. I've said this for the past couple of months now. In my honest opinion, if you are the Bucks, and even if you are Giannis, there is really only one team that you should be looking to move Giannis to. A, it shouldn't be in the same conference. You need to trade him to the West. And B, if you are a team that at a cap flexibility standpoint, you have very little of it. In terms of draft capital, you don't have none. And in terms of young players or prospects coming up, you have zero as well. Then you need to receive that in return for Giannis. And the only team that has the ability to give the Bucks that while also retaining talent on their roster and cap flexibility to absorb not only Giannis's current contract, but a contract extension as well, are the San Antonio Spurs. That is the only team right now, unless a 3-team trade just manifests out of nowhere. Of course, when we get into the regular season, certain teams are going to underperform, so they may panic trade and put themselves in a position to trade for Giannis as well. All those things are true. But as of right now, bro, the Spurs are the only team that makes sense. They have a lot of young guards. Dylan Harper, Stephon Castle, Devin Vassell, Keldon Johnson really isn't a guard, he's a wing, but you kind of get my gist. They have a bunch of players who are 6'6" or shorter, 25 or younger, and who are all on very flexible contracts as well. The Spurs also have a lot of really good first-round picks at their disposal as well. A 2027 unprotected Atlanta first-round pick, a Boston Celtics pick swap in 2028. Who knows what's going to happen out with the C's now that Jason Tatum is dealing with a potentially career-altering injury. And then you have the always valuable pick swap from the Sacramento Kings in 2031, because you already know that's going to be a really, really valuable pick. So you have the young players, you have the flexible contracts, and you have the draft capital as well. But more importantly, once you make this deal, you still have the talent to keep around Giannis, and not only with Wemby, but also De'Aaron Fox. And what's even more important is that you can manage all of that talent at a much lower price point because Wemby is still on his rookie deal. This is a huge reason why Houston was able to pull off the KD trade while still being able to keep a lot of talent on their roster, because all of that young talent on their team, they're still on their rookie contract. So you don't have to manage a lot of money all at one time. So you're still going to have Wemby on his rookie deal, and whatever other young player that you decide to keep that's not going to be a part of the Giannis trade, they too are going to be on their rookie contracts as well. The only two players that are going to make substantial amount of money will be De'Aaron Fox and Giannis, and that is really it. So the Spurs, in my opinion, are the only team. It just makes the most sense. It works out for everyone involved. But hey, I may be getting a little bit too ahead of myself, but what we do know is this. Where we are right now is that Giannis in Milwaukee during this offseason sat down and had a conversation about Giannis's future in Milwaukee. And the conclusion that they came to was to entertain where he would get traded to. So much so that they actually made the phone call. And if the difference between Giannis being a Buck and being somewhere else is Milwaukee's ability to build a championship caliber roster around him, or even making noticeable and significant improvements to the team, then at that point, we're not talking about if Giannis will be traded or not. It's only a matter of when he will be traded. And I humbly believe if the Bucks and the Spurs start off this season worse than they expected, there's going to be another phone call being made. I just want to put that out there. I don't see Giannis finishing his career in Milwaukee. I just don't see it. If it doesn't happen his deadline, it's going to happen during the summer. If it don't happen during the summer, he might just sign somewhere else in free agency. But this is a team that just doesn't have the ability to make any significant improvements to their roster. So it's only a matter of time. But hey, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, notification bell to be updated on all important news in the NBA heading into this upcoming season. And until next time, me and Giannis will see you later, dog. Peace. He's actually clutch right here. Got a Giannis. Got my Giannis right there. Facts.